the end of times. Everybody hoping they could be the one. I was born to run, I was born for this.
Hey guys, what's up? Hi. Okay, so what's up? So here's what I would love for you to do. People are piling in, people are starting to join. So as folks are joining, do me a favor and introduce yourself. Hey Dan, introduce yourself in the chat. So tell me your name and what city you're in. Because you guys can see me, but I can't see you. So it's helpful if I know who I'm talking to. Nelson, hey. Parmveer, am I saying your name right? Parmveer? Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Rouge, hey, and Austin, what's up? What's up? Whoa. Lana's having issues viewing the feed. I'm not sure what you mean. Tell me more about what you mean. Joyce is in Ohio. Hey. Connor is in Boston. What's up, Connor? Joke is in San Francisco. Hey. Nice. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys, so I know who I'm talking to, and we'll get started in a minute. Cool. And it's helpful if you tell me your name and what city that you're in. Cool. All right. Hey, Yi, how are you doing? Let's see. Let's see. Can you guys see me okay? Can you hear me? You guys can hear me? You guys can hear me, but you can't see me. Is that right? Let's see here. Okay, trying to come back up. You can see and hear me. Okay, great. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If any of you guys are having trouble, click on that YouTube link or refresh so that you can get back in. But either way, you can use kind of that backup YouTube link. Sorry if some of you are not able to see me, but I'm mainly going to be sharing my screen. So hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can share my screen with you because that's the main thing you need to see. And if you're just joining, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell me your name and what city you're in. Cool, name and what city you are in. And while you're doing that, I am going to share my screen with you guys. Hey, Dan, it's for some people who cannot see. It says playback on other, it's the YouTube settings, and it says playback on other websites has been disabled by the video owner. Can you see if there's something in our settings we need to change in order for some people to see the video? Got it. Some people are not having video. Okay, great. I think there's just a setting in my YouTube, so Dan's gonna look into this while we get started. Thanks for being patient. We want to be able to, you guys to be able to see what we're talking about here. Cool. While we're getting that resolved, you guys can see in here on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube seems to be just fine. So if you're having trouble, use YouTube. If you are okay, you can just stay right here because I'm going to be posting some special links into the chat here. All right. let's see here. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so, sorry about this. So let me just tell Dan really quickly this notice I'm seeing. Dan, the notice I'm seeing occurs when I am logged into an incognito browser just as a regular viewer. And it says, there's a staticky screen. It says, watch this video on YouTube. Playback on other websites has been disabled by video owner. So there may be some settings we need to do on there and see if we can get that fixed. Okay, so while we're kind of looking into that, if you guys need to use the YouTube link, use the YouTube link. Okay, so let me share my screen. And we will get started. So obviously, oh no, here we go. We are talking today about how to build apps without code. My screen's loading in and coming in. And I know that this is a crazy topic for a lot of you guys, how to build an app without code and make money from it. That's what we're gonna be talking about today. And I'm really excited to share this topic with you, to share this workshop with you. So really quick roll call, and it'll be helpful for me to see you guys post in the chat if this is you. I like to know, again, like I said, you guys can see me, but I can't see you. So tell me if this is you. So first of all, you are experienced in your industry. You know a lot about your industry and you've got some experience in there. Type in the chat if that's you. Just put like experience in my industry. I've got some history. Tell me if any of you guys have some industry background that you've been working on for a while. You've got some background in the industry. Some of you guys are super ambitious. I know I've talked to some of the folks who are going to be coming this evening, and a lot of you guys are really ambitious. You're really excited about the things that you're building. Type in the chat. Let me know if that's you. You're like, oh yeah, I work on huge projects. I'm always taking on a lot of work. Let me see. I'm going to minimize my screen so I can see you guys in the chat. Is that anyone here? What about if you already run a small business? Anyone already running a small business in here? Anyone ever run a business before? So one of the things I know that you guys have been wondering is, what do I do if I don't want to outsource my app idea to a stranger? What do I do if I want to get into this tech startup stuff? How do I test my startup without spending a ton of money? What if I don't have $10,000 plus to hire someone to develop my app idea? What do I do if that's the scenario, right? What if I don't want to outsource? And what if I know, how do I know if this is going to be a good app idea? If it's going to be a good use of my time? A lot of you guys have ideas and you're trying to figure out if this is something you should spend your time on, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, because I know a lot of you guys are wondering these things right now. How do I handle this startup thing? What do I do next? How do I know if it's going to be a good use of my time? And, you know, these questions are really important to a lot of you guys because you have an idea that you cannot stop thinking about. So what if we use technology to build this new idea? What kind of money could I make? What kind of real impact could I have? I know a lot of you guys are kind of pondering some of those questions, and I know that this topic today is really important to you because of that. You're also thinking about this topic, you know, how to build your startup, how to get started, because you are on the hamster wheel at work. I know this is for a lot of you guys. You're figuring out, how do I get to the next level in my career? How do I make sure that I'm living the life I actually want to live? You know, this topic that we're talking about today and getting started with your idea is really, really critical for a lot of you guys. And a lot of you also are in this boat. You don't know how to create a profitable app. Some of you guys don't know how to create an app at all, let alone a profitable one. And other of you guys know how to create an app. Maybe you already have some experience with that, but you don't know how to make money with it, right? Do I have to hire someone or can I do it myself? Is it okay if it's just me? Do I need to find a co-founder? How does that work? Where the hell should I start? I know a lot of you guys are wondering what the answers to these questions are. So I want to just take a second and imagine what your life will look like when You have thousands of people using something that you built, an app, a website, a product, a startup, thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people using something that you created. What would that feel like? What would that even be like? What would your life look like if you were a thought leader in the space, right? Whatever industry that you're in, what would it look like if people know that you are the person to go to learn about whatever it is, to use their app, you're leading the charge in your space? What would that look like? How would that feel for you if you were known as a thought leader in your industry? And what would it look like if you had a team of people helping you? It's not just you. You have support. You have a team of people. It doesn't have to be a huge team. It can be a 1-person team. It can be a 2-person team. It can be a 100-person team. But what would that look like? Can you imagine what that would feel like? A team of people helping you with your idea. So what would it look like if you're making over $300,000 a year in revenue? More than that. How would that change your life? So I want to share with you guys what happened to me, because I've had a really, really interesting journey getting into tech. So in 2014, I launched a really ugly website to start, and I had this idea, and in 3 days, I put up this website. So from coming up with the idea to 3 days in, I launched this website, and it said, become an art collector, get a personal stylist for your walls. I created around that an entire startup. And in my first year of launching this startup, I had thousands of customers who were using my startup and using the app and the website that I had built. On top of that, in my first year, I made over $150,000 in revenue. This is just from the first version of the product and the app that I created. And I got over $300,000 given to me and my company from investors, other people who wanted to put money into what I was building. So I took some really specific strategic steps in my first year of entrepreneurship. And a lot of that is what I'm going to share today, the specific steps I took to get those results so that you can replicate them. So here's what the purpose of this workshop is, why we're here today. The purpose of this workshop is threefold. First, I'm going to share the keys to building your own app without having to be a tech genius, right? 3 keys specifically that you need to know for building your own app without being a tech genius. Then I'm going to walk you through a new way to approach making money from your startup idea. How do you do that? How do you get beyond maybe a 99-cent app? Can you charge more for it? Can you charge less for it? How do you make money with your startup idea? And then I'm going to explain how you can work alongside with me to get your startup idea launched and to attract your first customers. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So you might be thinking, wait a minute, who is this lady? Who am I talking to? And so I want to give you a quick introduction to me so that you know who you're speaking with. So my name is Tara Reid, and I am a tech entrepreneur. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I led marketing initiatives at Google, Foursquare, and Microsoft. And then in 2014, as I was telling you, I founded one of the most successful art startups in the US, built the company's app and algorithm without writing any code. And since then, I've helped launch over 150 apps and tech startups. So I've been very blessed to have lots of really, really great press and coverage of the work that I do. So I've been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine's class of young millionaires. I have been have really great articles written in Forbes magazine about me, how to succeed in Silicon Valley when you don't look like Mark Zuckerberg. And I have a really awesome TED Talk that I've done with almost 200,000 views. But I want to tell you guys that things have not always been like this, right? Like all of the press, the success, making revenue, that is not how things have always been. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about my story and how I got here, and then we're going to jump right into the things that you need to know to build an app. But I think this context is going to help you. So as I was mentioning, it's 2014, go back in time, and I'm living at the time in Seattle. I was living in Seattle in 2014, and I was working a 9-to-5 job at Microsoft. So my background, as I mentioned, is in tech, but I am not a developer. I didn't know at the time how to build apps. At the time, I was just a marketer, right? I was working in the marketing team at Microsoft, but I totally hated my job. My manager was just like not amazing. I wasn't really feeling like I was really fulfilled in my job. I was kind of just going through emotions. And one day I was on Twitter, just scrolling through my Twitter feed, and I saw a post like this. And it was said, if you're in New York City and you have an idea for a side project that you keep meaning to work on, you should check out this boot camp. This program is going to be a really big help to you, right? So I see this, I'm scrolling through my Twitter feed, and I see this on Twitter. And I click on the link, on the Twitter link, and it takes me to this page about this program, and I go and apply. I get an interview, and I get accepted into the program, but there's one problem. And the one problem is that, as I mentioned, I lived in Seattle at the time, and this program was in New York City, so on the other side of the country, right? So I get into this program in New York City. I have no idea how I'm going to make it work, what I'm going to do, how this is going to happen for me. But I'm in this program, and I have this idea for a side project, and I don't really know how this is going to work. So what I ended up doing was making it work. For 3 months, I flew to New York every single week. Every Monday, I would fly to New York, go do this program, and then fly back and make it back for work the next day. Really crazy thing. But I flew across the country every week for this program. And what happened was, during this program, I started to cultivate this idea that I had for a business. I launched a really ugly first version of my website in 3 days. And I started publicly promoting this app idea that I had. By the way, this post says, my startup Collecto is featured on Product Hunt today. Product Hunt is a listing of cool new startups. And it felt really weird for me to write this post because it didn't even feel like a startup, right? I just had an idea. It didn't feel like I had a startup at all. It was just me and my idea. I had no idea how I was going to make it work, but I was publicly promoting what I wanted to create from day one, fearlessly. I created a website, and on the website, there was a button that said join the waitlist. And what this allowed me to do was slowly take people off the wait list, because I had no idea how I was going to build the app at first, how I was going to help people. I had no clue what I was going to do. So on the website, what I wanted to do was figure out if people were interested, right? Before I do all this work, does anyone care? Does anyone want to sign up for this thing? So I created this button that allowed people to join the wait list. And it was really smart for 2 reasons. One, it allowed me to really manage my workload. I could slowly take people off the wait list, 2 people at a time, 10 people at a time, 100 people at a time. I could slowly rev up to what I wanted to do. And it also created excitement. People thought, oh, wow, this must be really cool because there's a wait list, right? So I created a button on there that allowed me to create a wait list. But remember, I was telling you, I'm doing all of this while I have a 9-to-5 job. I'm still working at Microsoft. And all of a sudden, Microsoft laid off 80,000 people. I'm one of them. I get laid off from my job. And I have no idea what I'm going to do. So when I give myself 3 months, I say, okay, Tara, you've got 3 months to figure out if you're going to take this idea that you've been working on. If you can turn it into a company in 3 months, great, then you can go for it. If not, then you've got to go look for another job. So I give myself a couple months to really try to work this out. And I start getting lots of feedback from customers, people who are starting to sign up. I'm making changes based on the feedback. I'm really, really in the ground of helping my customers and helping them find artwork. That first company that I launched was an art startup, as I mentioned. And that first version of the app that I created, which I created without any code, by the way, made me my first $35,000 in sales, and got me a $100,000 investment from a top accelerator program in Silicon Valley called 500 Startups. So I started blogging about my journey, building apps without code. I started writing blog posts about this, and I got asked to do a big TED Talk on the topic. And I started coaching other entrepreneurs. I coached an entrepreneur named Josh who built an app and had 23 schools in Florida start using his app. And I coached an entrepreneur named Patrick who had his first customer of his app was Coca-Cola. So I started helping other entrepreneurs take the same path that I had been taking in kind of this wacky way of building apps without code. I was teaching it to other people. And so I made over $1 million in app launch revenue, my own app launch revenue, helping other entrepreneurs, etc. And so I want to show you guys today, wait, how did you go from getting laid off to building this multi-million-dollar tech empire? How did that happen, right? How did you go from one to the other? I'm going to show that to you guys today. So I'm going to break it down for you guys. Are you ready? Tell me in the chat. I'm going to take a moment and see what you guys are saying over here. Tell me in the chat. Anyone ready for this? Throw in the chat and let me know if you are ready. Let me hear a few folks. We're ready to get some detailed information on how to build an app without code. Anyone ready? Cool. Okay, so go full screen again. Give me one moment. Let's jump into it. Here's what I'm going to break down: how to build an app without code and make real money from it. Secret number one that we're going to talk about is how to navigate the 3 ways to build an app without code. There's really 3 different ways that you can do this. You can do it the invisible way, the vertical way, or the advanced way. If you're like, what does that mean? I'm going to explain to you in a moment. But that's secret number 1, how to navigate the 3 ways to build apps without code. Secret number 2 is how to charge real money, not just 99 cents for your app idea. How do you do that? That's what we're going to talk about as well. So I'm going to break down for you, and I really want, my goal is to have you walk away tonight with a real plan for how you are going to make money with your startup idea. Great. So let's get into it. Secret number 1, how to navigate the 3 ways to build apps without code. So there's 3 different ways that you can do this, and I'm going to walk through each of the 3 ways. Way number 1 is to build an invisible app. You probably have never heard of an invisible app before, so I'm going to introduce you to this new concept. So remember this website that I showed you? This was the first version of the invisible app that I built for my first company. In fact, when I built this website, I had no clue how I was going to help people become art collectors or give people personal stylists for their walls. In fact, this, you can kind of zoom in a little bit. It is an email. I opened up my phone and I wrote an email to myself. I screenshotted the email and I smacked it onto the website. I was just kind of making this up because I had no idea what the app or product was going to look like yet. And it says, hey, Gary, my name is Emily. I'm your new art advisor. I found a few pieces of art for your living room. Check them out here. That's what that email says. So then what I would do is when people would sign up on that website, I would ask them information about what they liked, their taste in art. And I used a simple survey to do that, to kind of be my sign-up form for my app. So the invisible app structure looks something like this. It started with a landing page where people could sign up. And then on the landing page was a survey where people could enter their information and sign up for the service, sign up for the app. Then all of the sign-up information got sent to a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet ended up being my database for the app. And then every time a new row was added to the spreadsheet, I would send an email out, and this happened automatically, which had another survey. But this was a different kind of survey. Again, I'm not surveying people, asking them for their feedback. I'm using surveys to deliver my service. So I gave a survey that had art recommendations for people. This is what it looked like. So it was unique for everyone, and it knew everyone's name. I used a survey gizmo to create this. And so what I was doing, some of you guys have done this before. You've taken a survey, and it'll ask you questions. So it might say, what's your favorite color? And it'll give you multiple choice, and you choose green. Green's my favorite color. And then it'll give you a follow-up question. It'll say, why do you like green? So it'll give you a question based on your previous answer. And what it's doing is it's showing and hiding different questions based on something that you said, right? Said previously. So that's what I was doing here. I was showing and hiding different pieces of artwork based on the customer's taste. So people who like photography, when they signed up, they said they like photography. I was showing them photography. Or people who said that they liked photography that was under $100, I was showing the photography that was under $100 and hiding the photography that was over $100. I was using the show hide logic. And so many people messaged me and they're like, Tara, your app is so cool. This is awesome. We love this. Little did they know, I built this just hacking together some surveys and using them in unintended ways. So again, as I was showing you, my Invisible app, that first version that I just showed you, made me my first $35,000 in sales and got me a $100,000 in first investment from 500 Startups, which is a big accelerator program in Silicon Valley. So if you're wondering, wait a minute, what is an Invisible app? This is what it is. An Invisible app has no logins, no passwords. There's nothing in the App Store. But customers love them. And the reason they love them is because you come to them. You go to something that your customers already have, email, SMS, websites, whatever it might be, and you deliver the service via something they already have. That's what an Invisible app is. You deliver value using SMS, email, URLs to surveys, simple pages, etc. And what you do in order to create that is you use software that has logic, right? Remember I was saying you kind of show and hide different things based on the user? So a logic statement tells your software what to do. We all have heard of logic statements before. I'll give you an example. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall, right? That's an example of a really simple logic sentence. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall. Here's another example. If the user clicks the button, then log them in, right? Really simple logic here. So I want to show you 6 logic-based tools that you can use right today if you want to create an invisible app, right? An app that goes to your customers, that delivers value via SMS, email, whatever it might be. No logins, no passwords. So a MailChimp is a really good tool. You can use it to do, if someone signs up, then send them an email. And you can automate that process so that you don't have to touch it. It's like marketing automation tools you can use to actually start delivering your app service. Campaign Monitor is another tool that's really cool. And what it does is inside of the email, you just send one email, but it dynamically shows and hides different content in the email based on who you're sending it to. A great example of this is show men one thing, but show women something else, right? This is actually one of the same features that I used in launching my first company, the first version, because we showed people artwork that matched their taste and hid other artwork that did not match their taste. Sonar is another really great tool. You can create an invisible app that uses SMS text messaging instead of having a login portal. So you can deliver everything to your customer via SMS. Typeform is another tool that you can use. This is sort of the logic that I was mentioning. So if the user chooses a certain option, then you can give them a different follow-up question and you can show something different based on the user's input. These are all simple tools you can use today to start delivering app-like experiences for your customers. Another tool you can use are cloud-like spreadsheets to dynamically do if this, then that statements, right? And finally, there's a tool called Zapier. Are you guys familiar with Zapier? Tell me in the chat if you've ever heard of Zapier. Zapier is a really cool tool that allows you to connect different apps together using logic. So if the user signs up, then send their data somewhere else. You can do all sorts of logic sentences just like that. So test your idea with an invisible app. There are no programming skills required, right? No programming skills, and that's one very simple way. I'm going to show you some more advanced ways, but that's one very simple way to launch the first version of your app. This is a really great quote from Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder of LinkedIn. He says, if you're not embarrassed of the first version of your product, then you've launched too late. If you're not embarrassed of the first version of your product, then you've launched too late. Because the version 1, the first version of your app, this is your job. Do you want to take a screenshot of this, take notes on this? This is very important for you to know. Your only job is to figure out, number 1, does anyone want this? Number 2, what features are important? And number 3, can I make money? That is your only job to figure out. If you're like, well, what should my legal task be? That's not on this list. That is not the goal of your first version of your product. Or if it's like, well, what, should I have a co-founder or not? That's not even important yet. These are the 3 things that are important. Does anyone want this? What features are important? And can I make money? So that's approach number 1. You can build your first version of your app by creating an invisible app. No logins, no passwords. But you deliver your service to your customer using logic-based tools. Now, approach number 2 is a little bit different. And as I go through these different approaches, we're going to get more and more advanced. So the second way that you can build an app without code is by building your product using simple vertical specific app tools. So a vertical specific tool helps you build one type of app. Helps you build one type. So for example, there's a tool called Mighty Networks that allows you to create your own social network app. You drag, drop, you point, click, and you set up your own social network app. People can create their own profile. They can follow each other. They can post updates. They can like each other's updates. They can post polls for people to answer and communicate with. They can have conversation threads and forums. Anything you can do on a social network site, you create your own social network app with Mighty Networks. Here's another tool that is vertical specific and really cool. AppSheet is a really great tool for building your own apps without code. AppSheet allows you to take your spreadsheet and turn it into an app. So a Dropbox spreadsheet or a Google Drive spreadsheet or Excel spreadsheet, and you can turn your spreadsheet into an app. Very cool. Power Apps is another really great tool that allows you, if you have a really kind of heavy database of information, allows you to create apps without writing any code. ShareTribe is also another really good example. It allows you to create your own marketplace apps without writing any code. So let's say you wanted to create your own Uber or your own Airbnb kind of app where people can buy and sell things from each other. Like Airbnb is a really good example of that. You can use ShareTribe to create your own marketplace app. Motion AI allows you to create artificial intelligence chatbots without writing any code. And Stencil is a really great tool that allows you to create video games without writing any code. You can send them to Android, iOS, or have them just be on the computer as well. Here's an example of a game that was created with Stencil. So when using these vertical specific tools, you may have some limitations. There may be some specific feature or specific thing that you want to get done and created that you maybe can't do with one of these tools. And so my advice to you, though, if you ever come up into any of those scenarios, is to not get caught up on features that your customers have not explicitly agreed to pay more money for. If your customer has said, yes, if you build this, I will pay more money, then great. You can find another way and a more advanced way, I'll show you that in a moment, to build those features. If your customer has not said they're going to pay you more money for it, don't get caught up on features your customers have not agreed to pay more money for. Because again, the first version of your product, this is your goal, to figure out, number 1, does anyone want this? Number 2, what features are important? And number 3, can I make money? That's it. That's your goal. So that's approach number 2. You can build your product using simple vertical specific app tools, right? All right, and approach number 3 is that after you've made your first $5,000 with your app product, you can use an advanced app building tool like Bubble. There's a tool called bubble.is. So Bubble allows you to create software by pointing, clicking, and dragging and dropping. So you point and click and design what you want it to look like, and then you set some logic And the difference is that the logic is not in code, it's in English. You set some logic to tell the app what to do. This is kind of an example of what the workflow section, that's what they call the logic section, the workflow section looks like. And so, for example, it says, when the page is loaded, then do something. When the page is loaded and the current user isn't logged in, then ask them to log in. Show the login pop up, right? You just set these if this, then that logic sentences to tell the app what to do. One of my favorite examples of an app that's built on Bubble, and this one of this more kind of advanced apps without code methods, is called Not Real Twitter, notrealtwitter.com. And so I want to read to you the intro of notrealtwitter.com because it really makes an interesting kind of statement about the kinds of people who can now build apps and where we currently are in terms of the tools that are now available to people like me and you who don't write code. So this is what the intro of notrealtwitter.com says. It says, welcome to Not Real Twitter, just like Twitter, but worse, a lot worse. The purpose of this site isn't to steal Twitter's business or to give people a chance at a fresh social media start. It is to show the future of software development. Because in 2025, most software won't be made by coders, but instead by people from diverse backgrounds using logic. The person who built this site isn't a software engineer. He didn't use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, etc. In fact, he didn't write a single line of code. Enjoy Not Real Twitter. And it says, a quick note to Twitter, please don't sue us. So you can log in to Not Real Twitter and you can create a username and password for yourself just like you normally would. And you can, once you're in there, you can create a tweet, you can comment to other people, you can like other people's tweets, you can follow people. It gives you recommendations of who to follow based on people who are posting similar content to you. You can create a profile photo. You can see how many tweets you've done. You can see your history. There's a whole feed. Anything you can do on Twitter, you can do on notrealtwitter.com. Really, really cool. So I wanted to show you guys this. And I also want to show you a really quick demonstration of how this kind of software works. So give me 1 second. I am going to show you just a quick overview. So I just want to show you quickly on the left-hand side, because we're going to build a piece of an app right now. So on the left-hand side, you see the design tab. That's what we're currently looking at. You can just drag and drop things onto your page and design it however you want. So it's going to take me over to this new blank page. There's nothing on the page. I haven't designed anything on here yet. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some text and I'm going to drag and drop it here, and I'm just going to say the word sign up. Now, there needs to be a place for someone to type in their information when they actually sign up. So to do that, I'm going to come back over here on the left-hand side again. So input form, I'm going to click input, and I'm going to drag it onto the page. And it's going to say, what do you want your placeholder to be? And for me, let's say that the placeholder is going to be type your name, and the content format is going to be text. Okay, great. So let's do that again for email. The content format, though, this time, instead of it being text, it's going to be an email. And this is going to make sure that someone doesn't type something that's not an email into this field. It has to be an email. You can't just sign up with some random letters. It has to be your email, right? And then let's grab one last input, because someone has to create a password for themselves. And that content format's going to be passwords. The very last thing on this design tab that I need to do is grab a button, because after you type all this in, you need to click sign up and actually do the action of signing up. So again, I'm going to come over here on the left, grab a button. So let's actually make something happen when I click this button. So let's go back. Right now we're in a little preview of what the page looks like. Let's go back to the editor. So what we need to do is put some logic on this button, that when someone clicks the button, something else happens. So to do that, let's double click on the button and click Start Edit Workflow. Again, workflow in Bubble is another word for logic. So I'm going to click Start Edit Workflow. And it starts an if this, then that statement for me. So it literally says when button sign up / get started is clicked. So we want something to happen when that is triggered. When the button is clicked, we want an action to happen. So I'm going to click here to add an action. And I'm going to choose sign the user up. Really simple. And then Bubble has some questions for me. It's like, what email do you want me to use to sign the user up? And what password do you want me to use to sign the user up? So what we want to say is, hey, the user just typed in their email and their password. Whatever they just typed in those input forms, use that to sign them up. Email, click here. And again, what we want to save as the person's email is the input that they put in for type your email. Value. So the value of whatever they typed in. This is just Bubble grammar. That's just how they word it, the value. Again, the password, click here, is going to be whatever they typed in as their password. Input, type passwords, value. Boom. Now, if you remember, we also asked the user on that page we just designed for a third thing. We asked them for their name. So let's quickly go over to the data tab, and I'm going to create a field in my database so that I can save people's names. Go over to the data tab. I'm going to click create a new field. So this says user already has emails in there. Let's create a new field. It's going to be called names. Name, and it's just going to be text. Now we'll see some magic where when I click here, name is now an option for something I can save. So name equals, and then you guessed it, we're going to make whatever they typed in as their name, that value is the name. Now let's add one more thing. So when the user is signed up, let's take them to a different page in the app. Usually it's going to be your dashboard. For now, let's just use that default page that Bubble created for us. So let's click here to add another action. Again, you can add an endless number of actions that happen when that button gets clicked, but let's just add one more that is go to page. So navigation, go to page when the user signed up. And it's going to ask, where's the destination? Where do you want me to take you? And we're going to say, just go to the index page. It's another word for home page. Let's just go to the home page right here. So let's go test this thing out. I'm going to sign up because now my button works. So Tara Reed, that's my name. Here's my email. And here is my password. Sign up and get started. And it's signing me up. And it took me to my home page. It worked. And if it worked, then my sign up information is going to be in the database for the app. So again, data tab, app data. And there I am. Just signed up, Tara Reed, appswithoutcode.com. We just built a little piece of an app, guys. Pretty cool. So that's how you build a sign up. There's lots of fancy stuff you can do in here, but quick demo, that's how you do it. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives you a sense of how these kind of software tools work, these software tools that are available to help non-technical entrepreneurs. I'd love to just hear in the chat, is that helpful to see? Kind of give me some context here. Is that helpful for you guys to be able to check out? Joy said, wow, yeah, really cool tools. And so part of what I do is teach people how to use software like this to build their apps and to get their ideas off the ground. But as I mentioned, there are 3 different ways. Shantae said, very helpful, good. Cool. Julie said, what about IP? You own your IP just like you normally would if you were coding your own app. Yeah, Joy said I'm a very visual person. Yeah, good. Me too. Me too. Okay, let me share my screen again with you guys and come back one moment. So that is approach number 3. After you have made your first $5,000, you want to use an advanced app building tool, kind of like Bubble, that one that I just showed you. Let's let this load up. Give it a second. So here's the thing, and I'm going to give you this kind of caution to think about. Bubble, that more advanced tool that I just showed you, it has a learning curve, right? It's definitely something that you have to learn. Don't forget, you're still programming an app. You're just doing it without code, but you're still programming an app. So anytime you're going to invest a lot of time and money into something, you want to just do a little test first. And that's the reason why I gave you 3 different ways for you to build your app, kind of a beginning way, an intermediate way, and an advanced way. Because before you jump into the advanced way, I know what's going to happen. I just showed that to you. You guys are going to be like, oh, forget the invisible app and forget the vertical specific app. I'm just going to do the advanced thing. Was anybody thinking that? Go ahead. You can be honest. Tell me in the chat if you were thinking that. Like, oh, forget the other stuff, the other steps. I'm just going to do the advanced thing. So anytime you're going to invest a lot of time and money, you want to do a little test first. You do have to learn Bubble. And so for that reason, I recommend that you wait until you have your first $5,000. In other words, build a business that happens to have an app, not an app that happens to have a business. You're first trying to figure out, how do I monetize? What exactly do my customers want? How do I get them to do the things that I want them to do? That's what you're trying to figure out first. And all that, that solution that you create to their problems, it just happens to have an app, right? Not an app that happens to have a business where you build the app first, and then you have to figure out how you're making money in your business model afterwards. So let's do a quick recap. There's 3 ways that you can build your app without code. Approach number 1 is to build an invisible app. That's the simplest way, and it's really the easiest way to start generating money immediately. And that's where there's no logins or passwords, and you deliver the value to your customer via SMS or email. Approach number 2 is to use vertical specific app tools, right? We talked about Mighty Networks as a tool for building your own social network. We talked about AppSheet for creating your own kind of database app, right? All those tools that I walked through for you are vertical specific app tools. And then approach number 3, after you make your first $5,000, use an advanced tool like Bubble.is. So that's secret number 1, how to navigate the 3 ways to build apps without code. Again, there's 3 ways: invisible app, vertical specific app, and the advanced way to build an app. Patrick is an entrepreneur who has gone through a lot of this process that we're just talking about. So he became the CEO of a company called OpEx Apps that he started, his own company. Patrick has a background in manufacturing. He lives in the Midwest, and he has a background in manufacturing. So he had a lot of you guys were talking about kind of stuff that you know in your industry. You're kind of experts in your industry, and you know kind of your space really well. That was Patrick, right? He knew manufacturing really well. And what he found was that on the manufacturing floor, people were still tracking the process with pen, paper, and a clipboard. Pen, paper, and a clipboard. So he thought, well, this is crazy because everybody else has a phone in their pocket, right? Everybody who's working on the assembly line has a phone in their pocket, but they're tracking the process with pen, paper, and a clipboard. So Patrick built an app to help the assembly lines become more efficient. He made over $30,000 in just a few months, and he licensed his app to Coca-Cola, which became his first. Patrick did all of this and learned all of this through working with me and my team through Apps.co, but I wanted to give you an example of how this works and ends up showing up for entrepreneurs. And which brings us really nicely to secret number 2, which is, I'm sure you're wondering, wait a minute, how is he charging and making so much money from his app? How is he doing that just in a couple months? And so this brings us to secret number 2, which is how to charge real money, not just 99 cents, from your app, for your app. So before we do this, quick question. Is this helpful? Are you guys learning stuff? Tell me in the chat if you are. Again, this is this weird thing where you guys can see me, but I can't see all of you. So let me know in the chat. Is this helpful? Cool. Okay. Good, good, good. So secret number 2, how to charge real money, not just 99 cents for your app. There are 2 really big rookie mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make when it comes to figuring out how to make money from their app. Here's what the 2 mistakes are. 1, they have a danger zone business model. And 2, they haven't done their business model math. If you're not familiar with what these things are, I will break them down for you. So, rookie mistake number 1 is that you have a danger zone business model. Most people don't think about this. So what they do is they come up with an idea of what they think is successful. They see Uber, they see Airbnb, they see all these companies, and they kind of just replicate what they think is successful, but they get trapped with a danger zone business model. So I want to make sure you guys don't get trapped. So which business model, get ready to type in the chat. I'm going to ask you guys a question here. Which business model are you guys considering? I'll give you some options, give you multiple choice. This is how you're going to make money. So the first option is transaction fees. This is kind of like an Uber business model. So for Uber, they are going to charge you $10, $20 for a ride. And the way that they make money as a company is they take a percentage of that fee, right? That's a transaction fee business model. Some of you are thinking about low subscription. So a monthly subscription, maybe even a quarterly subscription. And it's something that's under $49 a month. Type in the chat if that's you. If it's transaction fees, type that if you're thinking about that. If it's low subscription, type that if you're thinking about that. Other of you are thinking about high subscriptions, $50 a month and above, right? That's what you're thinking about in terms of your pricing model. Some of you are thinking about low one-time or annual fees. I would consider low for a one-time fee to be anything under $599, right? $599 and below is a low one-time or annual fee. And a high one-time or annual fee is anything above $600. And some of you guys are thinking about business models where you're going to make it free for your customers to use, but you'll make money from ads later. I'm going to move my screen a little bit so I can see what you guys are saying. Which business models are you guys thinking of? So Danielle says fees. You mean transaction fees. Got it. Okay. Juan says high subscription. Cool. I see transaction fee and or subscription. Got it. Got it. What else are you guys thinking about here for your business model? Somebody was asking earlier, can you mix the tools for an app? Yes, you can. You can use a combination of those tools that I showed you. Who else is thinking about one of these business models? Anyone have a high one-time fee? Okay, transaction fees, Ram says. Brandon says free plus ads. Shantae says low subscription or free/ads. Serena free with ads. A lot of free with ads here. Okay, cool. Great. So these are in general the options that you have for how to monetize. Does anyone feel like they have a business model, a way that they're going to make money that's not on this list? Anyone have something that's not on this list? Let me know if you're kind of thinking something through and you're like, wait a minute, I don't see it on here. Right? Anyone not see their business model on here? So I'm going to go full screen again for you guys. Great. So these are the business models that you have available to you. And some of those models are danger zone business models. Let me show you what the danger zone business models are. Transaction fees. That is a danger zone business model. Low subscriptions, under $49 a month. That is also a danger zone business model. Your one-time fee that's under $599 is also a danger zone business model. And finally, free plus ads is a danger zone business model. So let's walk through these. Transaction fees, as you know, low subscription, low one-time or free in ads. What is a danger zone business model, right? A danger zone business model is a model where you have to do a ton of work in order to just make a little bit of money. So with transaction fees, let's say that you're going to take 1% transaction fee or 2% or 3%, even 10%, right? You have to do a lot of $10 transactions, a lot of $30, whatever your transaction size is. You have to do a lot in order to make a real amount of money because you're only taking a small little sliver every single time. It means you need millions of customers in order to just make your basic money. Same thing with low subscriptions. You need a lot more customers in order to get your basic money. Same thing with free plus ads. If you're doing free and your goal is to make money with ads later down the road, what you're saying is you're going to go to a customer and you're going to say, hey, you should advertise with me. You should put your brand in front of my big, huge audience, right? That's what ads are. You say you should put your brand in front of my big, huge audience. But the challenge is that you have to have a big, huge audience in order to have that conversation with them. And that's going to take you a couple years. And so to get that kind of built up, you're making a risk that you are going to be able to get there. And it's just risky. It's not impossible zone. It's just danger zone because you are going to have to pay the bills for a couple months or a couple, maybe even more than that, more so like 6 months to a year, a couple years to get that big, huge audience. You've got to work up to that. And you're broke for the whole time leading up to that. I also want to show you what the safe zone business models are. These are ones where you don't have to have a ton of customers in order to just hit your basic goals, right? A high subscription often does that for you, or a high one-time fee also does that for you. So when you think about the safe zone business models, it is something where you can charge enough where that a customer will pay you $50 a month or the equivalent of $600 a year. That's where you're going to be in the safe zone. And so one of the rookie mistakes that I see people make is they have one of those danger zone business models. Now, another rookie mistake, and this is going to give you a lot more insight on the danger zone business models, is that you're not doing the business model math. So the business model math has a 3-part formula. First, you ask yourself, how much money do I need to make in order for this to be worth my time full time? I'm going to ask you guys this in the chat. Go ahead and answer this. How much money do you need to make in order for this to be worth your time full time? You give me a monthly number. It could be replacing your annual salary. Somebody throw out a number here that tells me how much money they would need to make in order for this to be worth your time full time. It could be a monthly or annual salary. How much money do you need to make for this to be worth your time? Okay, Shantae says 45 to 50K. Great, cool. And I'm assuming that's on an annual basis for you, 45 to 50K. I want to hear a couple more answers from folks as well. How much money do you need to make in order for this to be worth your time? One says 150K minimum annually. Great, okay, got it. What else? Some of you guys think about this monthly. Some of you think about it annually. Either one is just fine. Right? How much money do you need to make for this to be worth your time? Get that number in your head. We're going to kind of do a little activity together. And so I want you to know that number. Ram says 100K. Got it. Great. Great. Get that number in your head. Everyone got to hold on to that number. Write it down for yourself. How much money do you need to make in order for this to be worth your time full time? Okay. And then the next question, the second part of this is how much will you charge your customer? How much will you charge them? What are you thinking? It's okay if you don't know right now, but just give your best guess. Is it 99 cents? Is it $3? Is it $100? Is it that you're going to license to a business and charge them a $10,000 contract? What are you thinking in terms of how much you're going to charge? Serena is saying in terms of how much she needs to make, 70K to start. Okay, great. SC Dixon is saying 550 per month. Great, great. So that's how much you need to make. Now think about how much you're going to charge your customers. What are you planning to charge them? 99 cents, $5, $20. Go ahead and throw in the chat so I can hear from you guys what you're thinking about charging your customer. $10,000, $100 a month, kind of what you're thinking. Okay, Juan says 59 to 79 per month. Okay, great. Got it. I guess free could also be here too, right? You're not going to charge, but then you would have some sort of ads that you're going to charge. Ram said 25 per year. Got it. Got it. Great. Ram's already ahead of us and doing the math, right? So I need 4,000 customers to get to that 100K annually. Yeah, you just divide those two numbers. That's right. Anyone else have a sense of what they want to charge? What they want to charge their customers? So we're B2C, so thinking $5. If we're able to go B2B, then $250 to $500 a month. Got it. Okay, great. You got a plan there. Makes sense. Nice, Shantae. Great. So that's the second step. So again, just to recap, first step is you got to figure out how much money. Let me go full screen for you guys. How much money do you need to make in order for this to be worth your time full time? And then you want to figure out how much you're going to charge. It's okay if you don't know exactly, but just kind of roughly how much you're going to charge your customers. Then you're going to divide those two numbers. You're going to divide that first number divided by the second number to figure out how many customers do you need in order for this to work out for you, right? Now, I just want to preface this by saying this is not perfect math. For example, you're going to have more cost to the business than just paying yourself. You may have to pay for software. You may have to pay for other things. So that's going to come up. That's going to happen. But you're going to just divide these two numbers to get just a rough ballpark of how many customers you need. For example, let's say that you need to make 150K, and that's how much money you would need to make a year in order for this to be worth your time full time. And you have 3 co-founders. So there's 3 people who are working on this with you. So that's 150K times 3, right? That's where we start. How much money do you need to make? 150K. You can get out. I've got my little calculator out. You can get your calculator out on your phone too. You don't have to be mental math whizzes. I sure am not, right? $150,000 times 3 is $450,000. And let's say that you say, all right, we're going to charge our customers 99 cents a month. It's going to be a subscription, right? So what you would do is first figure out how much you guys need to make monthly. So for 3 people, that's, 150K times 3, and then you're going to divide that by 12 to figure out monthly, right? So that's about $37,000 a month is what you need. And you're going to divide that by your 99 cents, which gives you about 38,000 customers is what you need to get to, 38 total 1,000 subscribers. That puts you in the danger zone. 38,000 customers is a lot to need just to hit your minimum salary requirements, not to get other people that you hire, not to pay for your software, just to hit your minimum salary. So your danger zone, you're going to know you're in the danger zone if you need more than 100 customers each year to hit your basic lifestyle goals. That's when you'll know you're in the danger zone. So you need more than 100 customers a year to hit your basic goals. If you're in the safe zone, you need less than 100 customers each year to hit your basic lifestyle goals. Because what you want to do is you want to build a business that can be successful when it's big and also when it's small, right? I know you guys are going to build businesses and they're going to blow up and be huge, but in the interim, I don't want you to be broke. So you want to build a business that can be successful when it's big and when it's small. And what that means is avoiding business models that only work with scale, that only work when you have lots of customers or don't allow you to create the kind of lifestyle you want. So let's do another quick kind of math example. Let's say that you said, all right, I need to make $70,000 for this to be worth my time. And I'm going to charge my customers $800 one time, right? So it's going to be a one-time fee of $800. So if you divide those two numbers, you need about 88 customers a year to get you to that goal. That puts you in the safe zone. That's good. Here's another example. If you need to make $100,000 and you're going to go kind of license it to businesses, you're going to sell this to businesses, and you're going to charge them $10,000 for one-time access to it. You need 10 customers a year, just 10 customers to get you to that number. So that also puts you in the safe zone. I'll give you one more example of kind of the transaction fee model. Let's say that you want to make $100,000 a year, right? $100,000 a year is what you're going to make. And you're going to do a transaction fee. So you think that you're going to charge 5% fee, 5% transaction fee, and you estimate that the average transaction on your site is going to be $50, right? So if you multiply that 50 times the 5%, that's $2.50 that you're going to make for every transaction, right? Somebody's going to do a $50 transaction, but you're going to make $2.50 from it. And so what that means is you need 40,000 transactions every year in order to make this work. That puts you in the danger zone, right? So you can kind of see how this works and how this math plays out and how it fuels the danger zone for you. So this is another rookie mistake I see people make. They do not do their business model math in advance. And what you can do when you do your business model math in advance is you can go, well, how can I tweak this? If I'm in the danger zone, how can I tweak this a little bit to put myself in the safe zone? You can do that early instead of late after you've done a ton of work on your idea and it's too late. If any of you guys have 99-cent app ideas, you're thinking too small. You're thinking too small. So I want to talk to you guys about how do you take, if you're in the danger zone, how do you take the idea and bring it to something that maybe you can charge more money for? They can be more of a premium app product, because it's really unfortunate, but you guys have noticed this. People think that apps and technology equals free, or apps equal 99 cents. Right? You've noticed this. People think that apps are cheap, even though it takes a ton of work to build them and just the same amount of business acumen to do it. People think that they equal cheap or free or cheap. So I want to walk you through an activity that you can use to figure out how you can charge a more premium price for your product. So let's say that you have an idea for a travel app. Right? You want to help people travel and find the best flights and book their flight information and all that. You want to create an app that does that. So the activity I want you to do to figure out how you can make it more of a premium experience and get yourself out of the danger zone is to do this. Imagine for a second that there are no apps. You can't build an app. Just imagine for a second that that's not an option on the table. And someone calls you and says, hey, I need you to help me. I need help I have a trip coming up. It's going to be a work trip. I'm a business consultant, for example, and I need help with my work trip and getting everything planned. Imagine someone calls you on the phone. How would you help them? What would you do? I want to hear in the chat from some of you guys. What would you do if someone called you and said, I need help? I need help figuring out my travel plans. How would you help them manually if you just had to help them? Anyone have ideas on how you would do this? How you just manually help someone who needed help with their trip? What could you do for them? I'll give folks a second to type in the chat, but I can also kind of brainstorm with you guys some ideas, right? You might put together their entire inventory of, here are all the different places you need to go, and here are the restaurants. Yet one said I could offer a concierge service. That's exactly right, right? You could offer them a concierge service. Now, the funny thing about concierge services is that people think that they cost more money, right? If you compare a service, something that you market as a service versus something that you market as an app, people go, oh yeah, that's going to be kind of like having a travel agency. That costs a lot of money. If you say it's an app, people think that it's free or 99 cents. So one of the things that you can do is change some of your messaging and kind of message it as a concierge service and kind of combine a mixture of human help and technology help, right? You could search Google for prices, that's right. You could even go to the place where that person works, that person's a business consultant, and you can call that person's business and say, hey, so one of your employees called and they need help planning their trip. And I bet you have other people who work for you who travel for work, and I bet they also need help, right? And you can create this whole kind of streamlined service. You still would be using your app to deliver the help and the support, but you could charge a company, for example, far more, or you could charge someone far more for a concierge service, right? So this is just an example of something that you can look at, an activity that you can do to help yourself think through, all right, how could I get this to be a more premium service? If someone called me on the phone and said, I need help with this, what could I do? What could I add to the experience to make it more of a premium experience? Again, this is how you do that work to build a business that happens to have an app, not an app that happens to have a business. You go look at the problems that your customers have and you figure out how to solve them, and then you build an app around that. Don't do it the other way around, otherwise you will end up broke. So one of the things you have to do in order for this to work is you have to be very clear on the problem you're solving for people. So in this example, that travel app example that I gave you, the clear problem you're solving is I travel a lot for work and I don't know how to get to my meetings after I land from the airport, right? That's a specific, clear problem that you're solving that you can go and answer. If it's just like the problem you're solving is travel, it's too broad and you'll get pulled in every which way and you won't be able to create a premium solution for people. So once you get clear on the problem, you've got to make sure it's a problem people are willing to pay $50 a month or $600 a year for. And part of what that means is you have to not go after everyone in the world who could use this, right? I often say the riches are in the niches. There's a small group of people who have a higher willingness to pay than others. In this travel example, someone who travels once a year does not have a high willingness to pay and fit in this category. Someone who travels multiple times a week for work does have a high willingness to pay, and you can go after just those people. So make sure that it's a problem people are willing to pay $50 a month or $600 a year for. Also, I want you to consider what kind of businesses could use your idea, right? A lot of you guys have B2C ideas. B2C meaning you're going to sell your app. Your customer is going to be an individual consumer. But what if your customer was a business? What kind of businesses could use your app idea? And how could you maybe make a slightly different version of your idea for businesses? So I want you to consider, and I'm not talking here about ads. So I'm not talking about, oh, I can have businesses advertise on my app. I'm talking about your business being the customer of your app. So those are the ways that you get yourself out of the danger zone. You think about who has a high willingness to pay. What's the exact problem that they have? Is that problem something they would pay $50 a month to $600 a year for? If not, what can I add? What kinds of additional problems do they have that I can also solve such that it's worth that price point? And then you think about, well, what kind of businesses might also be interested in this? And that's the path that you use to get yourself out of the danger zone and get in the higher price point. I wanted to show you guys an example. Josh is an entrepreneur who's done a lot of this process that we just talked about. He built an app to help, we talked about sort of industry expertise, right? Josh knows a lot about music. And so he built an app to help high schools teach music in the classroom. And he licensed his app to 23 schools. So at first, he was thinking about, well, I can use this directly for students and directly for high schoolers. But he got to thinking, well, what kind of businesses would be interested in this? And he realized that there are a lot of high school programs that have after-school programs, and maybe they can't afford music teacher staff, but they can afford his product. And his product, his app, can walk through. The students can go into the computer lab and they can learn music and learn music production through his app. So Josh licensed his app to an entire school district in Florida. Over 23 schools and over 300 students are already using his app in just a couple of months, because he walked through this process of how can he make real money with his product and not just make it a 99-cent app in the App Store. So that is secret number 2, how to charge real money, not just 99 cents for your app. So another quick check-in. Is this helpful? Are you guys learning stuff? Throw in the chat and just let me know if this is kind of helping you think through some of the things with your idea. How to build it, but also how to make money from it as well. Good. Okay, great. Good. So this is what we broke down, how to build an app without code. Right? I showed you a lot of tools. I showed you a beginning way to do it with an invisible app, a more advanced way to do it with a tool called Bubble, and some in-between tools you can use as well. And then how to make money from it, how to move it into a more premium price point that's going to get you to what you want, right? So here's what we've learned. Secret number 1, I just walked through those things, but these are 3 ways to build your app without code. Secret number 2, move your product up higher in price point and use that process that we talked about to get you there. So if anyone wants to take some of this work that we've done today in this workshop right now to the next level, I want to show you guys what After That Code Bootcamp is, because what this is a program that I've created that allows us to work together, you and I, for 3 months to take your idea, to build the app, to build a solid business model around it, to build a solid marketing strategy around it. And what you're going to get is personalized coaching. You're going to get video tutorials, the community you need to start making money, the lessons and help directly to get exactly what you need. And so After That Code Bootcamp is all about taking you from idea to generating revenue. That's actually the success metric that we use to make sure that people are doing well. And over 67% of the entrepreneurs who go through After That Code Bootcamp are making revenue in their first 3 months. And so what you get when you check out Bootcamp is 30+ online training lessons. This is kind of what it looks like. So you get access to a login portal, which has all of the information for the program, for the training program. And there's really 3 different areas that we're focused on: your business model, your marketing strategy, and building your app, right? Doing all of those things to get your company and your idea off the ground. And so the promise of the program is 2 parts. 1, that you'll build the first version of your app, and 2, that you're gonna learn a process for getting your first paying customers. What we did kind of today was just a little bit of a taste of what that looks like. So this is what it looks like when you get access to the online lessons. All of the step-by-step tutorials are all loaded up in there, and you can watch them at your own pace. We do have some deadlines for things that you need to get done, but you can kind of see how the lessons and the different assignments work. You get to, there's written video, and then you can also go in and post your assignments and do your homework as well in the online portal. So that's what the 30+ online training lessons is. That's over a $2,000 kind of value. You also are getting a private After That Code community. So other entrepreneurs who are in the same exact place as you, who are trying to get to the next level, who are working on building their app, who are working on doing their customer outreach. Here's an example of kind of what the messages look like that are in the community. So this is a message from one of the entrepreneurs in the program. She says, "Hey guys, I'm about 90% to my launchable MVP, the first version of my product. How about you guys? I was thinking we could test each other's apps in a work session before we go public to our audiences. Maybe we can troubleshoot and kind of help each other, and maybe we can do this on Sunday, kind of hackathon style," right? So this is the kind of post and kind of support that you're getting inside of the community. And this is what it looks like. So you go in, you can kind of create your own posts. You can, some people are sharing the different wins that they had. Some people are sharing that they got their first customer who's interested. They're sharing metrics and how things are working for them, so you can compare to yourself. It's a really awesome community of other entrepreneurs who are at the same place as you. You also have a directory access to a bunch of entrepreneurs that are in the program. You also get prizes for completing lessons, and there are also some really cool prizes that are loaded up there for you to get help as well. And then there's mentor matching. So you're able to go in and have someone mentor you specifically on a particular area. If it's email marketing, if it's building a specific feature in your app, you're able to go in and schedule time with a mentor. So that's access to the 30+ training lessons, and then also access to the private After That Code community. In addition to that, you're also getting weekly live group coaching sessions. So that looks like, right now you can see me on video, but I can't see you. So it's a little bit different. We're in small groups, and you get on video chat. We're all kind of peers on the video chat, and you get direct coaching, ask the questions you need, direct lessons and help through building and launching. We walk through step-by-step tutorials. You can share your screen and say, "This is exactly where I'm stuck. Can you help me?" It's really interactive, and we keep these groups small so that you can get the exact help that you need in launching your business and launching your startup. It really is like business school for your app idea. And again, the promise of the bootcamp is that you build the first version of your app and you learn your process for getting your first 100 customers. So the price for After That Code Bootcamp is $1,900 for those of you who are interested, and you can also split that up over 3 months. So it's $696 a month. And what I want to do right now is show you what the application looks like for the program so you can see if you're interested in applying. So again, you can kind of compare this cost as well. That $1,900, you can compare that to if you go and hire a developer, the lowest price or kind of the average price they're going to give you is $10,000 to build an app, right? So this is a radically different kind of cost to you. And the reason we do that is because not everybody has $10,000 to build their app. Also, if you hire someone to build your app, every time you want to make changes to it, they're going to build it with code. And so every time you want to make changes to it, you've got to give them more money. And they're not going to help you with marketing or business model at all, right? It's also another alternative you can do is just learn to code yourself, right? That'll take you about 2 years to kind of learn the code and also, or to learn how to use these Apps Without Code softwares that exist out there, but kind of figure out what the best ones are to use, when to use them, how to use them. There is a learning curve. It took me several years to really get good at this stuff. And what you're able to do in boot camp is do what it took me to do in 2 years and 3 months, right? Just completely fast track it. So this is what the bootcamp price is for those of you guys who are interested in applying. It is a selective program, but I want to show you guys what the application looks like. So let's see, can you guys see this application? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys, give you guys the link as well, so that you can check this out as I'm doing this. Dan, would you mind posting in the chat the link to the application on the YouTube side so folks who are watching on the YouTube stream can also see this? If folks are looking for it, it's apply.appswithoutcode.com. And I'll get you the link in there, apply.appswithoutcode.com. So let me show you what this looks like. Because what I want to do is right now have you guys get started on your application. So let's walk through it together. So let's see, you can see my screen. You can. And this is what the application looks like. It's a short one-page application if you're interested in getting more coaching and more help on building an app without code and building your whole company around it. So when you first click it, it may give you a pop-up and ask you for your email so that you can get started, right? So then you're just going to go ahead and fill this in, and you can fill this out as I'm doing this, right? We can kind of fill it out together. You put your name, you put your phone number in here, and it probably already has your email from that pop-up. You're going to put, the closest major city. By the way, this is Blake up here. Blake is our director of admissions. He's going to be the person that you talk to and kind of helps you figure out if this is something that you want to do and kind of go through the interview process. So you put in the city that you live in, and let's say for me it's Chicago, closest major city. And if any of these kind of demographics apply to you, you can check them or you can skip it. And then it just asks you, can you afford the one-time payment of the tuition for boot camp? And you can click yes. How did you hear about boot camp? Tara told me about it on the webinar. And I want all of you guys to do is click on that link. Oh yeah, Juan said I already received an email response from Blake already. Great, great, great. So click on this link and fill this out as we're going if you've not already applied, but you're interested in the program, because that way I can help you with any questions you have about your application right here and right now. So the next section says, tell us about your idea. In a few sentences, describe your idea and the products or services that you offer. You think about this as your elevator pitch. So let me give you guys an exact framework for how to fill this out. So here's a framework you can use. My company makes it easy for insert custom, the type of customer you're going to go after to do blank. So let me give you an example. My company makes it easy for, and here you're going to put customer type to, and then you're going to put benefit of using the product. So let's fill this out. For me, for my first company, it was for for young professionals to become art collectors, right? Really simple. This sentence does not have to be complex and fancy, right? Really simple. My company makes it easy for this type of person to do this. And then you want to answer what's driving you to launch this idea, right? For you, it could be anything, but I'm really passionate about this, or I'm really excited about transitioning from my 9-to-5 job to something else. Is a great way for me to do it. Just kind of share why you're excited. These are short answers. And then you're going to want to choose what kind of company you want to start, right? Some of you guys want to build nonprofits. Choose that if you want to build a nonprofit. Some of you guys are trying to build lifestyle businesses, and that's defined as a business that's set up with the aim of getting to a certain level of income and not anymore, right? Certain level of income and not anymore. So if you're interested in building a lifestyle business, you want to choose that. Some of you are interested in building what we call a sustainable growth business, right? So this is a business set up with the aim of getting continuous growth, but doing sustainably. And other of you are interested in high growth businesses set up for just as fast growth, think kind of traditional tech company as fast as possible. So just choose kind of what company you're most interested in building. Then it asks you about your business model. Who are you selling to? Really easy. You can choose large companies or institutions, small businesses, individual consumers, or I'm really not sure, right? So let's say maybe it's individual consumers. And then how do you plan to charge, or how much do you plan to charge? And you can put your kind of business model here. For me, it's going to be, let's say, above $50, right? You just put your own information there. Then towards the end, we're almost done with the application. It asks, have you already made progress or are you just starting? So you can choose, I already have some beta customers, or I've identified where customers are, but I don't have any email addresses, or I don't know where to find my customers yet. You can also say that. It also asks you how many years experience do you have in the industry you want to launch your business in. It could be I'm brand new to this industry, right? Or it could be I have 2 years. Finally, have you talked to any potential customers? Maybe you've gathered feedback from 3 customers and they told you what they're willing to pay, or you haven't talked to customers yet, right? You can choose your answer. Last 2 questions. How much revenue have you generated from your business? For many of you, this will be 0. That's totally okay. We just want to know if you've already been working on your business or not already. And then finally, all of you guys have an answer to this question. How many of the below activities have you completed to prepare for bootcamp? All of you guys are currently right now in the How to Build Apps.Code workshop. So you should at least select, I've completed one of these activities on the list. And then you hit submit. That is literally it, right? That's all you need to do here. You hit submit and your application has been submitted. If you need to edit it, you can go back. But I wanted to show you what it looks like to submit and get your application done, because it's a very quick process. So I already have, let's see, I've got Christina. Actually just got a text, kind of a notification that Christina just sent in her application. Awesome, Christina. I'm excited about working with you and seeing if this is going to be a good fit. You'll hear back from Blake or myself for an interview. Great. Let's see, who else? Anyone else have questions about this? I want to open up to any questions that you guys have about bootcamp. And I also want to let you guys know a couple things. So quickly before we move on, 2 things. One, there is a bonus if you get in your application by Sunday. So this weekend, this coming up weekend, you're going to get priority consideration, meaning that on Sunday at midnight, myself and Blake, the admissions team, the Apps.Code team, are going to look at applications early. So if you're on that list, we'll be looking at your application with priority consideration. Also, there is a bonus if you get your application in tonight. There's 2 super classes and workshops that I'm going to give you access to. This is only available for folks who get their application in tonight by midnight. So the first bonus is how I win 1,000 signups a month by hacking social media. I'm going to show you the exact tricks and tips that I'm using to get signups on social media. And if you get your application in by tonight, you're going to get access to that. Also, how I raised over $300,000 in money from investors for my startup. You're going to get that super class as well if you just get your application in by tonight. So I showed you that application is really quick, but those are 3 things you should know about. You get it in by Sunday, You'll get priority consideration, and then you'll get access to these 2 super classes if you get your application in by the end of tonight by midnight. So the link is apply.apptothatcode.com. You want to get your application in by Sunday so that you can have that priority consideration. And I want to just open up to any questions that you guys have. Questions about your company, questions about your business idea, anything like that. I want to be able to kind of talk to you guys one-on-one and answer any questions. So go ahead and throw any questions you have in the chat, and I'll be able to answer anything that you guys are thinking through or trying to figure out. Anyone have questions here? One said, I read somewhere about a live Saturday, Sunday session. Is that in person? Yeah, really great question. So the structure of the boot camp is that the first week, you're going to have a full weekend workshop, so Saturday and Sunday. It does happen live, right? So we're all on video chat, and then you have a live class every week. However, all of those classes are in video chat, so you can be wherever you are, anywhere in the world. They're not in person, but they are live. So we are talking together. We're actually working on your idea. I'm rolling up my sleeves and helping you, and that does happen live. So the classes are, that first weekend is on Saturday and Sunday. And then your weekly classes will either be on Thursday evening or they will be on Sunday morning. Okay. Could this be applied to physical solutions or products? I got in late. Will this video be posted later? We will be able to give you a replay for folks who attended. Tell me a little bit more about the physical solution or product that you're thinking about building. We've had people do this for physical software hybrids. That's a really good fit. In general, this is going to teach you a framework for how to launch a company. It is best for software products, but talk to me a little bit about what kind of physical solution you're thinking about, and I can give you more context if this is going to be a good fit or not. Yeah, Candace, we can get you the video. Exactly. Look out for an email tomorrow once we process the replay so we can get you the replay. Other questions? Who else has questions? Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. For those of you who are working on your application, it is apply.apptothatcode.com. If you get your application in this evening, you're going to get access to those 2 workshops. If you get your application in by Sunday, oh, awesome. I'm just seeing, let's see, whose application is this? We had a couple more notifications that came in about applications coming in, so great. Yeah, Shantae, of course, absolutely. She said, thanks for the great information and tools. My pleasure. Yeah, okay, great. So let me know if you guys have questions. Send me an email. The live workshops are not going to be on the calendar. Those live workshops you will get access to once you are accepted to boot camp. Then you'll get all the dates and calendars. So respond once you get kind of an email. After you apply, we'll send you an email with a date calendar of all of the different live workshops. And once you are in the boot camp, you will have access to those. Does that answer your question, Juan? I think that helps you a little bit. Yeah. Great. Okay. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will talk to you guys soon. If you have any question, even if you feel like it's a dumb question, send me an email and we will talk about it. Oh, okay. There's a question here. I'm thinking about a hospital bed that makes it easy for patients to use the bathroom and also got it. Helps caretakers deal with the waste from the patients. I would say that this would not be the best program for you to launch that in. I think building physical things is kind of a totally different realm. I wanted to hear a little bit more about what you were working on to get clear. But yes, that's right. My email is tara@apptothatcode.com. Really easy to find me. And if you just respond to the email I sent you that had a reminder about this webinar, you can just, that's my email. So if you have questions, send me an email, tara@apptothatcode.com. And get your application in this evening. If you want those 2 bonuses, I'll be sending them to you shortly. And if you want to have priority consideration for boot camp, you want to get your application in by Sunday. Great. I will talk to you all really soon. Have a really great rest of your evening. Okay, bye-bye.